Hello to those of you who are with us already. Hi,
Hello.
how are you?
Sorry, I had the camera off. I'm eating lunch, so
You're eating lunch. That's it's lunch. Eat if you need.
absolutely.
Not a
I
problem.
didn't necessarily want to share myself chewing,
Oh well,
either in video or audio form, but
I get it. I get it. Well, welcome. Glad you're
thanks.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Valerie is unable to be with us today. She's off doing wonderful things for continuing ed at Dubuque.
Mm,
This
nice.
meeting is being recorded.
Yes, it is being recorded.
Hmm.
Hello, Manila. Melly.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing fine. How about you?
Good.
Hi, Manila.
Hey,
And there are several folks who are going to remain hidden for a little while here, I guess. We'll wait a couple of more minutes until noontime strikes. Valerie is unable to be with us today. She's up at Dubuque Seminary with continuing ed this week. So she's a pretty busy lady. Alan, good afternoon. Almost. Cassie, glad you're with us. And T and David and Jenny. And there's Cassie.
Hi, Billy.
How are you?
Okay. Hi, Manila. You've been busy. You were on last night, weren't you?
UKirk Tallahassee, this is Matt.
don't want to miss an opportunity.
I'm well. How are you?
Dee, thank you for updating us. No problems.
Manila, I was also on last night. I had computer problems, so I had to use my phone. I'm still having computer problems, so I'm still using my phone.
It works. That's your backup plan.
Well, while the rest of us are gathering, I will say once more that Valerie is unable to join us today. She is at Dubuque Seminary doing some continuing ed. So she's a pretty busy lady right now. And I am glad that those of you who are able to join us have done so. I'm Billy Sutter. I'm one of the co chairs of the Cultivate Committee of the Synod and part of the coordinating team. And she had asked me if I would be willing to step in and say hello to y'all and try and keep you on track. So, welcome to those of all who have joined us. We appreciate you. And I'd like to get us started with just a little bit of a reflection. I don't know if you are aware of Jill Duffel. I can't even say her name anymore. Duffelfield or Duffield. Reverend Duffield is PCUSA pastor. She's written a book last year, Appreciate These Things, and then 8 Ways of Cultivating Compassion. I really have been intrigued by listening to her and reading her. So I am wanted to share just a bit with y'all about one of her reflections on Hebrews 13:20 to 21, looking at appreciating whatever is pleasing to God. And she and her family were notified of the death of a longtime friend in a community where she had served previously. So they traveled back to be a part of the gathered community as they celebrated the life of this woman. And then she and her family had a moment to drive through the old neighborhood. As we left the church, but couldn't leave town without first driving through that neighborhood that wouldn't garner much attention from those unfamiliar with the people in it, While the town itself had exploded with growth since we left, posh subdivisions and sleek shops abounding, the streets where our children had ridden their bikes and trick-or-treated remained largely unchanged. One or two houses looked as if they'd been remodeled and upgraded, but not our split level. There were toys in the driveway, some yard tools in the carport. The grass still looked patchy. It felt as if we'd traveled back in time. Our beloved neighbor's house was just as we remembered it. None of it was especially pleasing, not outwardly anyway. We still didn't like the house, but we treasured the neighborhood because we loved the neighbors, the ones who loved us so well and loved our children unconditionally. That's the thing about loveliness. It isn't always obvious on the surface. Certainly, there are much more beautiful homes, better manicured lawns, and communities with lots of amenities. But we learned in that neighborhood that what really counts is what's inside. What is pleasing, beautiful, and lasting are the relationships that form and transform us when we're welcomed into one another's homes and everyone is there and pleased to see us. So, as we are welcomed into one another's homes and are gathered here to listen to one another today about grant writing, I would acknowledge that we are doing things that are pleasing to God today. It may sound a little strange to think that way, but I think everything we do in many ways is pleasing to God. I'd like for you to introduce yourselves, please, and tell us why you're here today. Once again, I'm Billy Sutter. I'm a retired certified Christian educator living in Ackworth, Georgia, which is one of those bedroom communities of the greater Atlanta area. We're about 45 minutes northwest in Cherokee Presbytery. I have been a part of the grant writing team in the congregation where we worship, so have been doing some of that for a while now, and hope to listen and gather some more information as we share with one another. And AJ, you're in my top left, so would you please introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm AJ Ochart. I am a teaching elder from Foothills Presbytery in Taylors, South Carolina, just north of Greenville, St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church. I am here because it actually worked out for my schedule, so I thought I'm just trying to be a little bit more intentional. The grant writing seems interesting, and so I figured something new to learn, but it was more trying to be more connected to the Synod. So
Thank you. I see a D.H. Ham. Can you perhaps join us visually and introduce yourself? Or if not, just verbally introduce yourself?
My name is oh goodness. My name is David Hammond.
Hi, David.
Can y'all hear me okay?
We can, but you're echoing. Do you have two devices on this particular Zoom?
No, ma'am.
That's usually the case. Okay.
Well, let me just say that I am the treasurer of Westminster Presbyterian Church in Greenwood. And we have several projects we're looking at. And I thought this might be a good opportunity to learn a way to help finance some of these projects, potentially.
Thank you. Okay. We hope that you can learn something while you're with us. Manila.
Manila Calhoun, ruling elder at North Anderson Community Church Presbyterian. We were and have been the recipient of a Synod grant last year, and we're trying to fulfill it right as we speak. And I'm always wanting to learn more. We are very, very grateful to Mary Hemphill for her generosity, even in her situation of being gone from us physically. But she So I won't tarry. But anyway, life goes on. We got the grant, and then we couldn't do anything with it until we raised the matching funds. So that's been
We feed them at 3 o'clock.
at the end of May, we finally had the funds, so we were able to begin the work, and we're still working on it.
Wonderful.
Yes.
David Hammond, can you please visually join us, or at least tell us a little bit about why you're with us and where you are? There you are.
I tried to do it a while ago. I let me go, guy.
You are on two devices at the same time.
No,
Well, we see a D.H. Ham and then a David Hammond.
I'm only on my laptop.
Okay. Well, then, thank you, David.
Billy, can we ask folks to mute themselves when they're not speaking? And if you can mute one of those DH hams, then we won't.
I will do what I can on that, Carolyn. And while you're with us, would you please, since you're next in line, introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Carolyn Dennis. I'm the pastor of Westminster Presbyterian Church in Greenwood, South Carolina. And that's my elder treasurer, David Hammond, that you've been talking to there. So pleased to see him here. We have also been the beneficiaries of a couple of different grants, one from our presbytery, one from the synod, and been so helpful. And so just looking to see how we can not only write grants for ourselves, but maybe for some of our partners in ministry here in town.
Super. David Roth.
Hey everybody, my name is David Roth. I'm the director at Memorial Drive Ministries in Clarkston, Georgia. So Clarkston's been the site of refugee resettlement for decades, so much so it's become known as the Ellis Island of the South. It's one of the most diverse square miles in America. So a really unique and dynamic place to be in ministry. We're a shared space that hosts nonprofits, recreation groups, and congregations that serve the immigrant and refugee community all around us. So grant writing is a big part of my job. And we've been supported by the Presbytery, grants through the Presbytery of Greater Atlanta, as well as Presbyterian Women through our birthday offering gift early in our history as an organization. And I know we have more to learn from the Synod. We've looked at the Cultivating Community grant potentially. I would love to just get further connected with the Synod and figure out ways we can mobilize folks for ministry among immigrants and refugees. And I see lots of South Carolinians on the call today. I'm from South Carolina originally, so I'm glad to be here. Thanks.
Super. Cassie, you're next.
My name is Cassie Waits. I'm a pastor at First Presbyterian Church in Marietta, Georgia, so Cherokee Presbytery, and that's my day job, my official job. But then I serve as a finance chair for our presbytery, treasurer for APSE, my regional APSE, and so just trying to figure out where we're as a church and as a presbytery trying to figure out how we better use grants. So I'm interested in learning more.
Fantastic. Deanie Strength.
Yes, hi y'all. I'm Deanie Strength, and this is Kit Kat hanging out with me. Sorry. And we are in Savannah, Georgia. I am the stated clerk of Savannah Presbytery and hold some other leadership roles. And the Presbytery of Savannah and Flint River have been communicating and trying to support churches that are on our bordered between us. And so we're curious in thinking about grants through some of the Synod shared ministry kind of grants. And so I'm just listening in for how to write good grants.
Okay, welcome. William Milton.
Hello there. I am an elder at St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church in Charleston. And we have benefited from grants, and I need to know more about them. I need to learn all I can.
Okay. Okay. Matt, is it Freeze?
Yes. I'm Matt Freeze. I'm a campus minister at UKirk Tallahassee in the Presbytery of Florida. We are campus ministry, so we rely a lot on the generosity of congregations and are looking to expand some programming, and grant writing becomes a part of that. So, so we're here to learn a bit more about that.
Super. Jenny?
I'm a ruling elder at Westminster Presbyterian, and I see Carolyn's on here, and so is David. So I'm like the junior member of the team, I guess. And my day job is writing grants for the school district.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, Spike Coleman.
Hi, I'm Spike. I'm pastor of St. Andrews in Charleston. And as Skip said, we here to learn, and we've benefited from some grants, but always want to learn about other additional opportunities and improve our ability to write the grants.
Thank you. Alan Russo? There you go. Alan, we're not hearing you. Can you boost your volume a little?
Go to somebody else while I work on my volume.
Okay, your volume is beginning to get better.
Okay.
Laura Piper?
Hello. Can you hear me all right?
We can.
Okay. It just popped up for me to sign in. And again, I went, okay, no, I don't want to do that. I'm Laura Piper. I'm down here in Southwest Georgia, just above Tallahassee, Florida. And I'm small church coordinator at Flint River Presbytery. And we love our coordinating with the Savannah Presbytery as well, as I heard someone pop in with them. Being a small church coordinator, a lot of times the budgets are very tight. And I look at this opportunity of grant writing as an opportunity to open some doors for some of the churches that I serve. The congregations I serve have memberships from 5 to 44.
Mm. They are small then, aren't they?
Yes, yes.
Okay, Alan, are you with us now?
I think I am. Can you hear me now?
We can, thank you.
Okay, AJ. We have 3 people from the real St. Andrews from Charleston, South Carolina on the line. I'm just here to listen and learn, like some of you who are not as old as me. I'm semi-retired, and I also write grants for them.
Super. Okay, Leslie Mitchell.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Leslie Mitchell. I'm from Merritt Island Presbyterian Church in Merritt Island, Florida, and we're part of the Central Florida Presbytery. We're a small church. We've also received grants. I feel like we often overlook things that are available. So I'd like to learn more, and I'm not much of a grant writer myself, so I'd like to learn more about how to do that.
Okay. Allison Strong, you just popped in. Whoops.
Yes, I'm Allison, the pastor of a small church in Foothills Presbytery in Sandy Springs, South Carolina, about 10 miles from Clemson University. We have a very active food pantry, and we are looking at what we can do to expand that building wise, and as far as serving our community as well. So I am not a grant writer, and I don't want to take that on. However, I am going to share this. I hope this is being recorded, and I want to share this with my the people who are part of the food pantry who would probably be willing to write to expand through grant writing. So thank you.
Thank you. Tammy Hughes.
Good afternoon, everyone. And again, my apologies for not being able to come on camera.
but I work at MDM alongside David. So he and I write grants to help serve our neighbors who are primarily refugee members of the community, and hosting all of the things David said. I started to type in what he said. So yes, I'm looking forward to learning and gleaning from all of the information that will be shared today. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jacqueline. Jacqueline, are you with us? We're not hearing you, and you're muted.
Okay. All right. There.
Here we go.
I think you have both me and noise. So I'm Jacqueline Blue. I am a member of Heritage Presbyterian Church in Cherokee Presbytery, and I'm part of the grant writing team. We have been successful at actually getting the block grant from Cherokee County. We've gotten 4 or 5 grants from the Atlanta Community Food Bank. We currently are working on, I think, our 4th grant from GIPL, Georgia Interfaith Power and Light. And so grants are very important to us, but we also would like to learn about other sources. My background is that I spent 35 years in the government contracting business, a whole lot of that writing proposals and grant applications, particularly the last 5 years. That's all I did. So hopefully I can share some information with you about process, and you guys can share information about possible sources.
Great. And Dr. Ernestine Adams, she just popped in. Dr. Adams? James? Well, I guess we're not going to be able to hear from him. Okay. A number of you have referred to the Synod grants. And for those of you who are not familiar with them, if you go to our website, synodofsouthatlantic.org, there are 5 grants that are available. The deadline for submission for them is October the 1st. Some are only for certain groups. There's things for Florida congregations, for small churches, 100 or less in South Carolina. There's a newer one for youth and young adults. There's also the Cultivating Community grants that a number of you have referenced. Look at them, see if they might fit what you're doing. They and others like them are easy to deal with. They're not as involved as the federal grants that Jacqueline referenced, the CDBG, the community block grants that come from the federal government that seem to be drying up these days. So what would you like to throw out for our conversation? What can we help you with?
So I'd like to ask a question. This is Tammy with MDM, and because I'm new to this group, I'd love to ask what type of programs have been funded through the Cultivating Communities grants in particular, and any nuggets that anyone else from the community would like to share relative to those grants.
I believe some of you mentioned the Cultivating Community grants. I am not familiar with that particular part of Synod grant writing. So if y'all have benefited from them or from that particular grant, can you answer, Tammy? Okay. I guess we're not going to be able to help you much there, Tammy. I'm sorry. as I read it, it says that it's available for those who qualify, Synod of South Atlantic, Presbyterian Churches, PCUSA affiliated entities, especially our partners, ministry partners in various ways. For projects, programs focused on cultivating community partnerships and peacemaking efforts. So that's a pretty wide definition there. And as I look at that, I wonder, what it might entail. You might investigate the grant proposal project yourself and see what is there. So I'm afraid we're not going to be able to help you.
Billy, this is Deanie from Savannah.
Oh, yeah,
I can
go,
tell you
Deanie.
what we're thinking about with Flint
Okay.
River. And so we've had two Zoom conversations with the 6 churches, 3 Flint River, 3 Savannah, and just kind of getting to know one another. Those 6 churches that are about 100 miles apart from one another. And so some things that we're looking into that we hope might work would be like if we share the same camp, sending kids to camp, and thought maybe there could be money for travel expenses to help carpool kids, caravans or picking up kids. We've talked about inter-presbytery fellowship gatherings, just to keep like a idea sharing, maybe twice a year, these churches to come together. We have talked about we both have a training school. We have a school of the laity. They have a once a month training time for their potential commission pastors. And so it might be more convenient for some of our folks to do their program instead of our own for geographic. So ways that we could scholarship possibly one another to help promote that. So those are the types of things we're thinking about. And I was hoping to kind of find out how specific the request had to be. But I don't know. We're just trying to keep thinking about creative ways to share ideas and help one another.
Well, there's no one from the Inspire Committee who's the committee responsible for grants and scholarships. So who is present with us that I'm aware of. So it would be helpful for you to kind of touch base maybe with one of them. You can find their names on the website. I'd also suggest you look at the youth and young adult grants. That's a brand new one. And it might touch what you're dealing with, looking at youth 12 to 18, young adults 19 to 25.
Super, thank you.
So yeah, that's a programmatic more than anything else, but yeah, check it out.
Billy, can I just make a couple of suggestions?
Go right ahead, Jacqueline.
So
can you turn up your volume?
Is that better?
A little bit.
Okay, I'm not sure which of these buttons is trying to turn up my volume. There are 2 of them. So I'll turn both of them up and we'll see. And I'll talk louder. In my experience, any grant would like to fund something that is not going to die after the funding disappears. So when writing for something like going to camp together, you need to say, well, what this would allow us to do for the future, yada, yada. We could potentially, once we've gotten to know each other, we'd be able to do fundraising together, or we would be able to find other sources. So you always want to talk about how the future continues and that grant's impact continues to be valuable. They like that a lot. And the other thing is to always talk about an outcome. Even if you don't know exactly what you're going to do with the grant money, you're going to do something about camp, or you're going to do something. Talk about how you're going to measure the outcome. We're going to measure it in engagement. We're going to take comments back from the youth, like out of a journal. We're going to do something so that there's a concrete thing that they can cite then on the website and say, oh, look, here's a response to it. So I would just encourage you to think in those ways, but really think hard about how can the grant continue to impact even once the money's gone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Super.
Thank you. Wonderful. I appreciate both of your participation in that. Helpful.
Mario, Laron, thank you for joining us. We're glad that you're with us. We're taking questions. If there are questions that you would like to ask this group.
I appreciate the opportunity to join you, and I apologize for my tardiness since my boys are out from summer camp, so getting us ready for school.
It is what it is.
Yes, it is. It is. So if any questions I may have, it's more than likely of the information that I missed. So the first 25, 28 minutes of this session mostly have been receiving questions and answering questions, or did you have specific information that you wanted us to bear in mind in regards to pursuing grants?
What we had done was to take a good bit of time introducing ourselves and saying why we were here. And then we began to talk about Senate grants, specifically what kinds of information might be required, which is what Jacqueline was just addressing. Also, what sorts of opportunities could benefit from the various kinds of Senate grants that are here. We've also talked about other kinds of grants. I know there are several folks looking for food pantry support, other kinds of things, the refugees and groups that are very specific. So if there is something that we could, as a community, offer to you, we're happy to do what we can.
Yeah, so one grant that our church has applied, for which our church has applied, and let me just introduce myself briefly. I'm Lerone Wilder. I'm pastor of Mattoon Presbyterian Church in downtown Greenville, South Carolina, and been the pastor for about 8.5 years. And one of the grants that our church has applied in the past, maybe more than once, 2 or 3 times possibly, has been the Hemp Hill Grant.
Yes.
And since we are a historic church and we are a small congregation, and so our building dates back to 1887. So I'm sure everyone could imagine, while the sanctuary is a beautiful historic one, it is one that requires a lot of maintenance. And so we were just wondering, what would it take for us to finally secure Hemp Hill Grant after a number of attempts? So is there certain language we would have to use in the application? Are there certain people who could assist us in that effort? So I would be curious to know that. That would be the top grant that our church would have an interest in. Maybe other grants could be related to us becoming a more intergenerational congregation, maybe worship grants that could assist us in continuing to build upon the foundation that's been laid already for a holistic intergenerational worship experience. So I would say at least those 3 at the moment. Again, intergenerational could definitely be young adults. We have a growing young adult population. It could definitely be strengthen our children's ministry. The only children in the church now are my children. And so what are some ways we can reach families? And of course, yeah, so those would be some of the grants of which I would be interested, and our church as well.
Well, we secured a Hemp Hill grant, and it was based on having a bathroom that had 2 toilets for years because we had converted it to a handicap bathroom. So we took down the barriers, and there wasn't, it was kind of an odd, a lot of people made jokes over that. Because what do you do with 2 toilets in one bathroom without a division? But so we wanted to do a shower. So we're in the process of converting one of the toilets to a shower. So that in the event like Helene came along And a lot of our electricity at the church came back before a lot of the people in the area and some of our members. So they were coming in. We left the key under the mat so people could come and go and do their cell phones and get ice and, whatever, however they could find comfort in the church. And we could have benefited a lot from the shower. And so that's what we worked with. So the future benefit was an important part of that as well as a current need.
Could y'all please mute unless you are speaking? I think it would help us maintain our ability to hear one another a little bit better. Thank you.
Can I ask if anyone knows the typical amount of a Cultivating Community grant or an Inspiring Ministry grant or any of the other Synod grants?
We received $3,500, which was about half of what we needed.
And that was through the Hemp Hill one?
Yes.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Mario, is there anything you would like to ask about since you haven't had a chance to say hello?
Hello, my name is Mario Bolivar. I am the equipping presbyter and state clerk of the Presbytery of Florida. That is located in Tallahassee to Pensacola. For those that don't know, I already put my feelers out there to update our name because of branding. It's a challenge to be always saying Tallahassee to Pensacola. We should be like the Presbytery of the Northwest or something like that. But anyway, in regards to grants, I am knowledgeable because I have gone through the Synod website and asking questions and all of that. I do know, to all my friends out there, that writing grants is a job in itself, to keeping up with the types and the boundaries and the locations. In my previous role as a pastor, I always found it beneficial to find a team, a committee to handle grant application and to not limit myself to the grants of the Presbyterian Church. I can tell you there is plenty of people out there willing to give you the money. As I tell congregations, the good news is that we have all the money that we need. The bad news is that it's still in your pocket. And it's something to remind them. Even in my presbytery now, there was a church that completed the grant for technology from General Assembly. And I helped them complete the process and finding an invoice that they could attach and stuff like that. And I simply asked, well, have you made the large appeal to the community, not the presbytery, to the community? Oh, we haven't. And I said, well, let's make a video and let us put on social media and let us create a GoFundMe page. And I'm happy to say that they have received a couple $1,000s from random people that watch the video. When you have a story to tell, just get your phone out there and put it out there. And that is just another attempt. So don't limit yourself to writing grants. Now more than ever, people are willing to tell you how much money they'll give them if you give them a story to rally behind. So, and be vocal about that story with everywhere, including other Christians, including other congregations within your presbytery, to finding partnerships. But again, all of you are leaders and all of you already have a role, and writing grants is just a monkey that doesn't belong in your shoulders. So I will say, find dedicated people, find those qualifying persons, those English teaching writing machines out there that will take a red pen and fix your sermon because you did this or did that. Give them a job. That's how I was successful to find money and be an entrepreneur on that mindset. There's plenty of money out there, including Google. Google is giving a lot of grants for advertisement. So don't limit yourself to what you see in the Senate, but go out there because there's plenty of money out there. And I'm here to, more than anything, my goal is to get to know all of you. See your faces so that when I meet you, I'm not a stranger anymore. But thank you, Billy.
You're welcome.
Billy, I'd just like to add on to what was just said by Mario. Don't be afraid of matching grants.
Mm-hmm.
Those scare people away. They're like, where am I ever going to get? I'll take on Heritage. Where am I ever going to get $25,000 to match the paving grant?
We did.
It's in the pockets of people who are out there. You just need to try. You know, the worst thing that can happen is you don't get enough matching funds and you have to scope down what you're doing. But most of the time, there are people, the money is in their pockets, so don't be afraid of needing matching funds.
Those of you looking for food pantry support, I don't know if there is a larger funder in your area, perhaps with the food bank that you work with. I know we've been able to get grants from them frequently. And sometimes it's from Feed America, sometimes, through Feed America, sometimes it's through other things too. So, like Jacqueline's saying, don't be afraid to ask people for money. Mario is right. The money's there. We just need to relocate it. So let's be creative here.
Don't be afraid of using money to get money.
Good point.
Find someone that gives you 500 and find another person that says, hey, someone is willing to give me $500 if I get $100 from you. I mean, it's not, I'm just saying it's a game. You just need to know the rules and be creative with them. Ultimately, people are really willing to help you, but you have to give them a story.
Good point. Good point. Give them a reason. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Question. How do folks find grants? I mean, do you go to a certain database? Do you go just Google search? Do you ask ChatGPT?
I could tell you what I did when I was a local pastor. My first task was to know who was my neighbors and who are the people that I can rally with. I can tell you that I got, there was a massive food pantry effort in the county where I was. And they had so much work that they were willing to give grants to smaller congregations. We stopped actually doing the same thing that they were doing, and we started cooking a hot meal because that is the thing that they were giving the grants to. So rather than you coming up with an idea and then trying to find money, it is finding where the money is and what money people are giving to, and then do what the money is for. So you're flipping the script. Find who is giving money to do what, and then rally behind that, rather than, you having this project and trying to find that money on it. But know your neighbors. There is plenty of organizations out there. So I will finish with this. Come up with a mindset of a softball team. And what I mean by that is when a softball team wants to find a sponsor, they call every bar, every restaurant, every location out there and willing to, hey, we're going to put your name in our jerseys if you give us and pay for this. And so again, that is It's knowing who is your neighbor because you are working in that community, rather than the opposite. And so that's what worked for me. I don't know if others have other ideas. I absolutely agree with knowing your neighbors. Just to let you know, McDonald's gives grants. A lot of fast food organizations have foundations out there, but you can't just apply. You have to know that McDonald's you have locally, for example, and meet the manager and talk about what you do and how it works with what they do, how many of your congregation come there to eat, just you need to know the people around you somewhat. For government grants, there is something called grants.gov. I'm not very optimistic about finding anything there during this administration because they're kind of anti-grant, but there are still grants going on, so take a look. More of this is Googling. After you meet your neighbors and find out what they've got to offer, also Google around and see what's out there.
Cassie, why don't you share a little bit about what y'all do to raise mission money with Joe being the bartender?
Oh, that's not even a grant. Well, yeah, the grant we have that was from the government is running out soon for our food pantry. So anyway, so I don't have a great much to add on grants yet. We're still trying to figure out where to find money to support that. But we do run a food pantry, and what we did have started doing, and we've done this for about 3-4 years now, is one of the local restaurants who at one point was owned by a couple in our church. They would have a nonprofit night once a year during the summer, and they would close their restaurant bar down for a few hours, or not close it down. They would for one evening, they would for several hours, all the proceeds or whatever would go to a nonprofit. And the owners were in our congregation, and they were so enthusiastic about the food pantry ministry we had that they convinced their restaurant that would be the nonprofit that the money would go to that first year. And since then, it's kind of turned into a huge fund. It was like a small thing the first year. You kind of just take these steps, right? It's turned into a huge fundraiser for that food pantry. People in the congregation, they buy tickets to it. It covers the cost of food so that there's food, but then the drinks, any other proceeds all go towards the pantry. They do a raffle, which I think raises far more money than the tickets do. So and you have to get that approved by the government. Somebody in the city, I think, has had to approve us doing a raffle because it's gambling. Anyway, so just like cover your, dot your I's. I wasn't in charge of all that, but that's one way that we do raise money towards it. And our senior pastor pours drinks. I have heard mixed reviews on his bartending skills, but everyone is always happy to see him up there. And it kind of makes it, it's just a whole church fellowship event as well as a way to raise money for a good cause. So that's been one big way that we've done every year.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. A very unique way to partner with community partners.
Yeah. So I guess, and we've done things with other restaurants in the area for other reasons, but it could be someone in your congregation has that in, or they have a way to offer something that they can offer towards the church, and that's what this couple did. They have since sold that business, but we still hold it there. So there are some options there.
Billy, this is Deanie again. I apologize to be driving, but I had a conversation in a community in our presbytery that has a community foundation, and they have the community foundation has a list that people who have their investments with their foundation can look at to decide where they might want to give some of their own grant money. But also there's a wonderful community foundation in St. Mary's. A big bequest came to a Methodist church of several $1 million, and they give grants out to churches and nonprofits. So I think looking into community foundations in your area is a good idea.
Great, thank you. David, I'm wondering about the diaspora that you are serving, and what countries it might cover, and if there are some kind of support groups for those communities that you might be in touch with, or have you already done that?
Yeah, great question. Good thought. Clarkson's kind of a unique part of the country. A lot of cities do refugee resettlement, but a lot of times cities around the country become magnets for kind of one people group from one country of origin, maybe two, maybe three. But Clarkson, if you think of a conflict really since Vietnam, there's a group of folks who have probably moved through Clarkston. So it's probably 60 language groups spoken in the neighborhoods all around us, probably 40 plus nationalities. So we've regularly, every week, probably 15 to 16 languages are spoken on our campus. Worship happens in 5 or 6 languages every Sunday, every week. So lots going on. And we really find, like someone was saying, know your neighbors partnership is such a big part of how ministry happens in an environment like that. One person or one social location and one language group can't do you can only it's kind of silos you. So partnership's really the name of the game. Yeah, and for funding, it's a big landscape because we are a nonprofit. So I mean, I heard Cassie kind of asking about where do you look for. I think knowing what and who you are, churches are eligible for some grants that nonprofits aren't, and nonprofits are eligible for a lot of grants that churches aren't too. So sometimes how you structure that becomes important because if the food pantry is its own nonprofit, it might become eligible for more funding versus if it's under the church. And some of those aspects has been a part of kind of stuff we run into in the past too. So yeah, a little bit from my seat.
Thanks. I hope y'all are following the chat. There's suggestions being offered that folks are aware of. It's a good thing for y'all to share with one another. So please do that. I'm aware too of just what David was saying, that there are some organizations that will not give to religious or faith-based organizations, but they will give to nonprofits. In the state of Georgia, it takes $25 to become a nonprofit. And there is a group in Atlanta that will teach you exactly how to do it. And it takes one workshop and you're done. So if that's something that you think might be possible for y'all, then look into it that way as well. It's really an interesting thing once you start unpacking all of this. There are as many different kinds of organizations that are willing to share funding with you as there are stars in the sky, it seems. But you just got to fit their particular niche, and then they're able to help you.
Billy, one other thing I thought I might just mention briefly, a buddy down the road from us started a group called Match Grant. And again, Cassie mentioned kind of like how do you find grants? It's kind of an AI driven software that you kind of put in your profile and then it screens and tries to match you with grants that you might be eligible for. And it has a bunch of AI functionalities that can help draft grants. I can't vouch for it. I haven't really used it. But I mention it just because it might help. And I think it's still new enough that it probably isn't overly expensive now. And again, in 10 years, it might be very expensive. So you might get a decent shot at it early on if you're an early adopter.
Thanks. Those of you who are quasi-professionals or retired professionals, do you have other opportunities to offer to us? Jacqueline has helped an awful lot here. Who is our other one? The school board person? I've forgotten who you are. Okay.
I'm not the school board person, but
Go ahead, Alan.
I dealt primarily with government, being national, state, local, counties. Don't just look at the federal. Look at your county government, your city government, your state government. There are a lot of programs, grants, a lot of performance grants where if you perform like you said you would, you don't have to pay it back, or you don't have to pay a percentage back.
Mm-hmm.
So just be sure that whatever you say you can do, make sure you can do it. That's the major thing. And get a good reputation. And the best reference is a successful grant that you have completed.
Mm-hmm. I think somebody was asking about worship grants or something of that sort. Kathy Dawson, Reverend Dr. Kathy Dawson down in Columbia, has a Lilly grant, and she's working with children in worship. She's working with other kinds of things. Those Lilly grants are really kind of helpful for church-specific sorts of things. So check out their website and see what they've got going on. I don't know if Kathy's still accepting folks into her grant process or not. No. Okay. Thank you. I thought that she might pretty well close that out. But there are a number of opportunities. We just all need to think collectively and share those if we can.
A quick question. Has anyone applied to the Calvin worship grants in the past?
I'm not familiar with that. Can you say more about it, please?
Yeah, let me I'll provide a link in the chat. But it was a grant that our Foothills Black Presbyterian Caucus applied maybe a year or two ago. We had to think about some type of worship project that could be done across our 6 to 7 African American Presbyterian churches in our presbytery. And the Calvin worship grant has a certain amount that you could devote to as far as planning, I won't say just a worship service, but maybe a worship project for a year that will be assessed as to how it would enhance not just a worship service in a particular church, but what does it do in the community, what type of impact it makes outside of the church, something along those lines. But we've applied for the grant again, probably 2 or 3 years ago. Didn't get it, but understood it was the first time. But I'll put that link in the chat. It's the Calvin Institute of Christian Worship, and their grants that are offered on an annual basis. We even had a chance to talk with some key people who would evaluate it. We didn't get it, but again, just the fact that we had that experience would be very helpful, only because a couple of our churches at the time did not have stable musicians. And so we needed some way that could bring a variety of generations together and enhance the worship experience across our various churches. So that was the intent behind applying for the grant. And I just placed it in the chat.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What about historical site grants? Are there any like preservation grants? I mean, some of our churches are very old. I don't know if anyone's used any of those or.
We're currently applying for a Preserving Black Churches grant. We've had through the National Preservation of Historic Places. Yeah, and so this will be our third try, our third attempt at securing funding for it. It's, of course, definitely for historic churches. I think the funding limits are from $50,000 to around $250,000. And so it's been a learning experience for us, because now we have some people who are helping us with the application who are either skilled engineers, who are historians, who are connected with other engineers who have to meet certain historical standards. So it's a lot. So it's more in depth this time. than what we've learned the first 2 times. The second time, our church was able to move forward to the second round, but now each attempt has given us a greater learning curve. So we're hoping and praying that it would happen this year. And so we're just continuing to learn and make connections. And hopefully, again, when we do secure this grant, we would like to then position ourselves to setting up an endowment for our church. So that way, when we receive dividends from this endowment, that money could go particularly to meeting maintenance needs on an annual basis for our church. Again, as you already know, our church dates back to 1887, and we're the only African American church in Greenwood that still worships in its original building. So that, again, that's an honor, and also that has this moment of headaches. But then through it all, well, that's what I can speak to about the historic preservation grants.
Thank you.
And if anyone is in South Carolina, there is an African American church that received one. I think it's Soapstone Baptist Church in Pickens County. And so we're connected with the chair of the committee who helped to raise funds for the endowment. And so again, this is going to be a twofold project that our church is looking to pursue. And again, that could outlive those of us who are still at the church.
Definitely. Jacqueline, I saw your question. I'm not sure. We can certainly investigate the possibility of a SharePoint within the Synod website that could be available to those who have suggestions on where to look. I know we can certainly have Melissa Clapp, our administrator, take the notes that y'all have dropped into the chat and get an opportunity to perhaps share those back. We've done that a couple of times on sack lunches, so we may be able to do that. We are getting to the close of our time together. Is there a burning question that someone has that they haven't had an opportunity to speak to, or a suggestion that they just really want to share with us? Okay, let's get all those things in the chat. Thank y'all. All right. Do you sense a need to do this again on grants? Yes or no? Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yes.
Yes, a few yeses. Okay. Head
I
nods.
saw a good idea about perhaps on their Synod website, if there could be an ongoing conversation where people leave comments or information so that people can drop. Obviously, it will go both ways. If you have something to share, you can put it there. And, obviously you will have to talk to the web manager and see how would you do it and how you sign up, and only people with a profile can sign up. But it's not a bad idea. The synods change, the grants change so much, and opportunities are so quickly to windows of opportunity that it might be beneficial to have something like that on the Synod website that people can drop information. That obviously requires a technical movement from the Synod to do.
It does. Yeah, we'd have to ask.
I would be interested also in our making sure that we publicize the winners of grants and maybe their stories, a brief celebration of those. I think that would help questions like Laron's of, how do I get that Hemphill grant finally? Who are the other folks who've gotten them?
Well, at each of our Synod assemblies, we hear from the Inspire Committee as to who those winners have been, and usually there's a newsletter article about it. But the general folks don't necessarily hear about it as much as they could. And as Mario keeps saying, get somebody to help you spread the news so that folks can understand exactly what's going on. You can see the members of the Inspire Committee Tim Curitan is the one of the co-chairs that immediately comes to mind, and has been there for a couple of years now. Kwasi's also on Inspire Committee, I believe, and I don't remember who all else, but you can reach out to them and ask those questions. They might be willing to help you with that. I'm not sure. I can't volunteer them. All right, then. If we are finished with our conversation for today, I will say blessings to you all and thank you for joining us. And we will see you again. The next SAC lunch is next September the 2nd, I believe it is. And immediately thank you all for those little handshakes and high fives and everything. If there's a topic that you would like to see, let Valerie know. She's always looking for more, and we're really interested in hearing from the community at large as to what kinds of topics are really important for y'all to have conversations about. So thank you for this, and we will see you again.
Blessings to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.